Yes, y'all. Welcome to Loop City. I am your host, Mike Skills. We at Loop City are a group of five guys that love hoops, entertainment, and video games. The squad is here today. We got Gonzo Star, Coach Matt, Pistol Pete Toll, and of course myself, Mike Skills. Today we're gonna have a special rant at the end from Gonzo Star. But before that, let's get started. Fellas, today we had two games on the slate, and I'll go on the first one because we're taping this live at 6:15 Pacific time. So right now, Heat and Sixers is going on game four, but we're gonna talk about game four of the Suns Mavs. Now in game two, the Suns hunted Luka and on defense, and then he flipped it on them. So I'm gonna go to you guys. I'm gonna go to Gonzo Star. How did Luka flip the hunting on them to prove you right in your prediction they're gonna win this series?
I think a lot of it just comes from Luca having to get his just kind of get on the roll. He coming in at the last of that Jazz series, he kind of like took the team out of rhythm. Then they end up winning that series. But I think now you're starting to see the team gel as a whole. There's a couple of things I see wrong too with the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix Suns have taller guys
Yes.
like in JaVale McGee and DeAndre Ayton, but they're good running in a straight line. And it gave me a good reason on why I say this is because as I was watching today, I noticed that Bertans ran straight down the court and outran all of their big man. He went under the basket and ran right behind the 3-point line, and they couldn't keep up with him. I think their bigs are faster laterally than the Phoenix Suns. Also, their bigs can shoot. They're starting to gel. They're defending well. Finney Smith, he's not a small guy. He's like 6'8". He lit it up today.
He had a game.
I think my prediction was based off not only that they're a better defensive team this year. Jason Kidd actually did a really good job this year coaching this team. Luka is a real superstar. He makes players better. To be honest with you, I don't want to bet against him now because I think he has potential to win a championship very early on in his career.
Wow. I think so too. I think he could win it. Like he's special. I said it before. He's top five, and it's not five. He is that good. He is as advertised. He is the truth, as so to say. I'm that dude is something special, man. Um, man, Pete, I'm gonna go over to you, man. I gotta ask you this real quick. Was the game wildly officiated, and if so, what was the worst call you saw in that game? Because that was some moments I was like, they calling that?
That moment when they did not call when Crowder threw down Luka at the beginning of the game, like I was kind of shocked with that.
In Dallas, no doubt.
Yeah, I was a little shocked there. I think more so than anything, I think Phoenix is not getting enough production from their bench, and it's really showing because where's Landry Shamet? You get a little bit of hints of Cam Johnson, but Dallas's bench, I mean, Bertans, I mean, firing on all cylinders. That's what he came to Dallas for, to shoot threes.
Shoot.
Luka didn't shoot it efficiently, obviously only going 1 for 10, but Dallas, the rest of the team went 19 for 34, from the arc. Obviously, Dorian Finney-Smith, 8 threes, playoff high, 24 points. The game flow just was off for Phoenix because Chris Paul was off. I don't know if he, early celebration for his birthday or what, what was going on, but he was struggling. 4 fouls before the half, just couldn't get into rhythm. Booker tried to spark the team on a run and doing everything that Booker can. Jay Crowder hitting shots from the outside. But where was DeAndre Ayton's dominance?
Yeah.
That's where I kind of was like scratching my head. I'm like, okay, now's the time. If Chris Paul's not, doing anything, get Ayton involved. And I feel like there's too many mental lapses from Phoenix's side. Cameron Payne, we know he's going to come in and do boneheaded things. Doesn't really manage the game well. So it was really do it all, everything Booker. And if I'm Dallas, that's what I want. And from Dallas' side, Jalen Brunson and Maxi Kleber, like guys like that could just fill roles and fill them efficiently is what's going to get Dallas the win in the series. I think. I originally had Phoenix in 7, but just watching the way that Phoenix is playing and just the lackluster edge of wanting to put their, foot on the gas pedal and push forward to the next series, it's just the lack of urgency isn't there.
Yeah. I'm going to go to you, Coach Miller, because
Mhm.
I know I see the shirt that you're wearing. And
Yeah.
yeah. So I know where you're going for. So I want to tell you what you saw today and where do you think this series goes now? Because now it's a best of 3 series.
Yes.
So break it down for us. What do you see?
I have to go back to Game 3 because the one thing I've noticed in this series, and I want to go to Jalen Brunson for his adjustment here. The Suns, the Mavericks realize they have to get more physical. What I've seen from Luka Doncic in Game 3 and 4 and from Jalen Brunson, they're throwing their body around. They're using that weight. You saw it in Game 3. I think it was in Game 2. Devin Booker said something to Jalen. You're soft, or something of that nature. And you saw it in Game 3, comes out, oh, get off me, layup.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing I'm noticing right now is just the physicality with which Dallas is playing with. And I don't think Phoenix likes it because, look, you have guys like Jay Crowder. They like to push. They like to shove. They don't like to get hit, though.
Yeah.
They can dish it, but they can't take it. And we've seen Devin Booker in a pickup game. You can't double team me.
Mm-mm.
But Devin Booker has been fantastic. He did what he had to do tonight. And with Pete, what he said back to DeAndre Ayton, I think a lot of that is on the team because he's relying on them to get him. They just don't get him enough touches, which I do not understand. He's the one guy in this series who has a clear mismatch every game.
So you think that would unlock this series for Phoenix?
I think so. Absolutely. Go to DeAndre Ayton. He's got a bag offensively down low. He can score. He can hit the midi. I talked about it last week on the pod. I don't know why they don't give him the basketball. Especially with Chris Paul being out. We saw all the fouls. Why? Booker obviously is going to be your number one guy, but if Chris Paul's not there, you go to DeAndre Ayton. Why is he not getting the basketball? He's got the one mismatch. I know sometimes Dallas will throw a zone out there from time to time, but still, it doesn't mean you can't get the basketball to him.
Yeah.
It just baffles me. And I've noticed it, and even last year, and I think everybody here, if you watch it, it's like they just don't give DeAndre Ayton the ball enough. And he's a really good big man.
Honestly,
he's not. And you saw what
needs to show them Orlando Shaq, where it's like feed the post, you will get shots off of help.
Yes, and you saw what Jason Kidd said going into the series. DeAndre Ayton is not Rudy Gobert.
No,
he's a problem on the other end of the floor. He's not just diving to the basket, getting dunks and layups. You can give him the ball in the post, and he can make things happen. And they just won't give him the ball. That's one thing that infuriates me, and maybe that's why. And I know this is just off topic a little bit, but maybe that's why they didn't extend him. They figure we can get another guy to do what he's doing for us. We can get somebody cheaper.
Wow. Because that's been racking my brain all year. It's like, this guy is clearly a stud. What do they know that we don't know why they decided not to pay him? And I know their payroll is ballooning, but yeah, that begs a lot of questions. Well, I'm going to go from that big man over to another big man who had a 40-piece yesterday in the Bucks-Celtics series, Giannis, who another top 5 and is clearly not 5. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to say how. I'm going to ask this question to you, Gonzo Star. Actually, you know what? I'm staying with you, Matt, because I want to ask you, did the Celtics let the game slip away, or did the Bucks steal it?
It's tough to say. But I know you're asking this, but I have to say something here. And I've been waiting for this game because I see it on Twitter, and it's just something that's been bothering me. The Celtics got cheated, right? The refs were on their side. That last possession, yes, there were some missed things there. I think Marcus Smart should have got the 3 shots. It didn't. That's not why they lost. Tatum was terrible. But they showed it during the Warriors game last night. I don't know why they showed it, but they showed it. The last 16 and a half minutes of that basketball game, Boston shot 17 free throws. Mike, How many free throws do you think the Bucks shot in that same time frame?
I want to say about 4 or 5.
0.
They shot no free throws in the fourth
0
quarter
the
at all.
last 16 and a half minutes of the game.
Yeah,
And that's
so
why it irritates me. And I want to also say this. I looked with Wesley Matthews on the floor, they were plus 11, and with Brook Lopez, they were plus 5. And I think that's where the game is right there.
yeah,
When these guys, like Wesley Matthews, physical defender, Brook Lopez, protect the rim with Bobby Portis and Giannis. And we talked about it last week. They just can't score at the rim when those guys are in there.
wow.
And when Jason Tatum, and I know Pete and Greg will probably touch on this too. Jason Tatum, like, he's not making shots. If he makes 3, maybe 3 shots, they probably win the game. Like, I don't think anybody stole it or anything like that. I just think it came down to shot making. Giannis is going to do what he does.
Yeah.
He's not, like, I get it. They did a number on Kevin Durant. He's older. He's got the Achilles. He's had the Achilles injury and all that. He's older, father time. You're not shutting down Giannis for 4 games. It ain't happening. Yeah. And he proved, and even in game 1 when he shot terrible, didn't he have a triple-double?
Yeah.
Like, he was still getting things done defensively, getting his teammates involved. He's a freak. Like you said, the Greek freak. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah. And with that point, I'm going over to Gonzo Star because you got the Bucks gear on. And I want to ask you, like, how was Giannis in his bag yesterday, and the tag team he and Drew Holiday did without Middleton again to beat Boston in a 2-point game? Like, what did you see yesterday? Like, tell me.
One thing, what I see is that first of all, Jason Tatum is, and we have to stop this comparison to Kobe. He's taking parts of Kobe's game, but he's not Kobe Bryant because,
right.
First of all, I think it was 4 for 19 yesterday. He's shooting like 38, 39% this series. And that's just not going to get it done when it took you and Jaylen Brown, you know what I'm saying, to get you through the season and to get you past that first round. We need those two to be efficient and good on defense, especially Jason Tatum. But the reason why the Bucks won, it wasn't that they were cheated. You have Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's the best player in the NBA, hands down. Even in his bad games, he's very effective in getting his players involved, getting extra rebound opportunities. They're a great team, and they play great team defense. One problem I think that really contributed to him to even letting this game be this close, I think Drew Holiday shot a little bit too much. I think him and Pat Connaughton took some bad threes, and I'm getting tired of seeing this late in games in the NBA. I'm tired of seeing, if you have a 1 or 2 point lead, less than 10, I'm going to say, you're just jacking threes. It's like, why not put the pressure on the other team and attack the basket and get them in foul trouble more and draw fouls and just keep going to the line? Force them to win this game. We're not going to just give it to them by shooting just bad shots. Like, a lot of these shots they're shooting is just nothing but 3-ball after 3-ball. Because if you guys watched the game yesterday, like that last 4 minutes, Pat Connaughton took about 2 or 3 threes. Drew Holiday took about 3. It was like 6 or 7 threes within like a 2-minute span. I'm talking just threes. There was nobody tried to drive to the basket. Yeah. It's just nothing but 3-point jump shots. And I like 3. I like the 3-ball in the game, but that has to stop. Ultimately, Milwaukee won the game as they should. They should have blew the way Jason Tatum shot. They should have won this game by 10 or 15 points, honestly.
Yeah. I see your hand, Matt. What are you going to say real quick? Oh, okay. You were just saying, okay. I'm going to go to you, Pistol Pete, because I want you to get the last word in this. What did you see, man? Just tell me what you saw, what you want to say.
Okay.
Giannis went nuclear.
Well, outside of Giannis, because I think everybody's going to talk Giannis to death. If you look at, I'm going to go to the Milwaukee side, but Drew Holiday came alive in the third and was able to help kind of the Bucks to pull away. Yes, he took some bad shots, but just his ability to play defense first and foremost. And then if you add that scoring, he had 25 points to help Milwaukee. They need that without Chris Middleton because Holiday can create his own shot. Now, on the flip side of that, Jason Tatum, his first make of the game comes off the jab step against Holiday, which forced Holiday off balance. He goes into the middle of the paint, gets a floater. If Jason Tatum can get that 5-6 more times in the game, it doesn't have to be a floater, but just get the guy off balance, get in the middle of the lane, he's going to have easy points. Instead, he runs because the Celtics run a lot of Chicago action, so he runs off of whether it's Marcus Smart or Peyton Pritchard, he runs off of that dribble handoff and basically uses the screen that that either Smart or Pritchard sets, and then Al Horford's kind of there. Once Al Horford comes off the pick, then Tatum, instead of like waiting a second and hesitating off the dribble to get his guy off balance, he rushes things and then takes a bad shot. And it's like, I just don't understand. He speeds himself up too much because it's almost like he's hunting shots and forcing like, hey, I got to get myself involved. It's like, slow it down for a second. Like what helped the Celtics get what, get to where they are is they play team basketball. They found opportunities within the offense, especially with the transition. Or, basically in transition, Tatum can get easy buckets in rhythm, get easy dunks, easy layups, and then that kind of gets him going for other areas. And that's where they need to focus on, not Tatum hunting the isolation scores. And like I said before we got started, if Tatum hits 3 or 4 more shots, the Celtics win this because that tip was late at the end. And, had that gone in, obviously, it would have went to overtime. But I feel like it's anybody's series. But at this point, and Gonzo brought up a good point before we started, if Boston doesn't win this series, then it's Milwaukee and Philly and Miami can go either way. But Gonzo and I agree that, we think that if Philly wins tonight, then it'll be them that wins the series. Then Milwaukee's a tougher matchup for Philly. But if somehow Boston comes through in this series, I don't see Boston beating Philly in a 7-game series. So it's going to be very interesting to watch. This is the series to me to watch out of any of the series that I'm most interested in, because it's going to mean a lot for the finals participant coming out of the East.
Absolutely. I mean, looking at that series, they're the two heavily favorites in the East right now. They have the star power. Obviously, the Bucks are the defending champs, and Boston was looking like world beaters coming out of that series against the Nets. And now we kind of look at it, take off our rose-colored glasses, and we look at it as like, is Boston that good, or was it a combination of them being really good and Brooklyn being really bad? On this next one, we got to go out west to the series that's been action-packed and pretty competitive until yesterday, when the Warriors laid the absolute smackdown on the Grizzlies at home. They got Clay going. He finally had a good game. It felt good to be back at home, got some home cooking, you know what I'm saying? Probably went to his favorite restaurant, saw his dog and whatnot. Curry led the way with 30. I want to ask you guys, did the Grizzlies awaken a sleeping giant? And I'm going to go to you, Pistol Pete.
Well, if you look at it, Memphis did exactly what Golden State wanted them to do. Let's get in a 3-point contest.
Yes.
Not what Memphis does. So why would you launch that many threes and not attack when your entire offense is built around Morant, who attacks the rim, and he could find shooters, but your best shooter, Desmond Bane, has a back injury.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge for them. You got Zaire Williams as an athletic player, but he's not a 3-point shooter consistently. Jaren Jackson Jr. has struggled all year, struggled again, going 4 for 13 from the field. At the end of the day, you're playing the Warriors game. They have the best shooters of all time in Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. Like, come on. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, at the end of the day, that coupled with just, I don't know what rotations they're coming up with. I think Jenkins kind of has some Budenholzer because he came from that tree. I think he has some Budenholzer coaching yips when it comes to the playoffs of what do I do? Like, all of a sudden I'm going to play a 10-man rotation when it's the playoffs. You don't need to play John Conchar. Like, What are you doing? Like, you were one of the best rebounding teams in the entire NBA, and you're not playing Steven Adams. I get it's the Warriors, but get him out there to get some fouls.
Yeah.
Knock some
Clog
guys
up
to the
lane.
ground.
Yeah.
Like, come
Lay
on.
wood on somebody.
Yeah, like do something. Like, I don't understand it. And at the end of the day, like I'm sorry to see Ja Morant get hurt, but I'm going to say it live on the air. Like, it comes down to you play that reckless all the time. Like, things are going to catch up to you. And no, I don't think that Jordan Poole was purposeful in trying to injure him. I think it happened before that play, and just the ability of the rough and tough style he plays with the recklessness of landing, so hard and things like that. It just took its toll on his knee. And that's kind of where we're at.
And we talked about that before we came on air. We always have a little session in the lobby to catch up with each other and warm up before the show. And we talked about how a lot of people, and myself included, I misspoke. I called the Dylan Brooks foul on Gary Payton second a dirty play. He's not a dirty player, but hitting them in the air. But let's talk more about that. Gonzo Star, like, you tell us how you saw this breakdown. And there's been multiple plays in this series. So you can start with the Draymond in game one, and you can go from there. Like, take us where you want with these flagrant one fouls in 22-2.
Well, I don't mind the flagrant one fouls because, I mean, they are rules to the game. I just think that a lot of these ejections and these suspensions are a little like they're too out of hand for plays that weren't really intentional. Now, if you want to see a flagrant 2, I might even be able to show you some flagrant 3, 4s, and 5s. If we go back and look at some 80s and 90s footage, and you can tell me like what's really going on. Like, those are flagrants beyond flagrants. These are like Martin said, RBIs, real bad injuries. Like stuff that shouldn't happen in an NBA game. The play the other night, even Draymond's play, it deserved a flagrant 1 ejection. No,
Agreed.
It's just going a little too far. They even gave a foul the other day on Bobby Portis. He wrapped up Al Horford around the shoulders and held him, even before he jumped up. And they called it a flagrant 1 because they said he grabbed him above the shoulders. What? So, so this is what the NBA is now, right? We got clear path fouls, flagrant 1s. So it's really just stay in front of your man. But if he just beats you a little bit, just move out the way and let him score. Because we want all offense, no defense ever at any time. This is crazy. Yeah. And I think the play deserved a flagrant 1. I would even give it a flagrant 2, maybe ejection from that game for Dylan Brooks. But you eject the guy game 3? It just seems so. And this is what I've been talking about even last week. This, to me, is what seems to me like games are being rigged. It's like, hold on, we got to get rid of Dylan Brooks because he could potentially be a threat to Golden State. We need Golden State to win. And that's what fans usually talk about. They say, why was he thrown out of game 3? Like, this is the guy who's never really. Yes, and this is a guy who's not like a repeat. He's not always causing problems. You know what I'm saying? So I can see if it's a guy who's doing it constantly. And Draymond, a lot of times, I think he does a lot of fouling, sometimes out of emotion. I don't think it's always intentional. So it's more of a reputation thing. A lot of times, I think a lot of his suspension and fouls are just because they don't like him because he does kind of argue with the refs sometimes. He's a little mouthy to the refs.
It's like the same thing that you.
But I don't like it
in the 90s.
Yes, and it's not fair. Like, and I'm going to stick to this. And which, by the way, Memphis has no chance now. They won't win another game probably.
Yeah,
I think it just goes back to the thing I've been saying for the longest with the officiating. Don't call the call because the guy's a superstar. Call the call because he actually committed this call.
Yeah.
Call the game straight down the middle like you should. I don't like to hear, they're home tonight, so they'll probably get more calls.
Yeah.
That's rigging the game.
Yeah. That it really is.
Because what you're telling me now is that they are home, so we got to give them more calls. No.
Yeah. No.
Scott Foster gets involved. That's when it becomes a whole thing. And
that.
it's serious. Like it's a real debate of, are you going to call in Scott Foster because you want to extend a series, or a certain team, a Chris Paul led team, you want them out of the series? Like, it's pretty bad
That's
that,
crazy.
that's when he gets called in.
Yeah, we should.
And one more thing I want to add to this.
Go ahead.
Here's one more thing I want to add to this too. The same thing with, I think, Tony Brothers, when he coaches against Houston Rockets always lost.
Mm-hmm.
Every time he reffed the game against the Houston Rockets, they lost to Golden State, they lost to whoever it was. And fans know this. They know if Tony Brothers is going to ref a game, the Rockets are going to lose. That's something the NBA should say, hold on. That's too much of a coincidence. We got to find somebody else to ref this game.
Yeah.
We have to eliminate all these possibilities of fans even thinking that rigging is even happening. When and I know a lot of people don't like Tim Donahue, whatever his name is. I think that's his name.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like this guy. But I find something to be true about people who snitch. When they start doing jail time, they start telling the truth on everybody. So I'm not going to say the guy's wrong about everything. A lot of stuff he's saying is right. And I'm starting to see this. I'm starting to watch a lot of these calls that he points out. And if you go read a few excerpts of some of his books, and with his book, should I say, he talks about how they will give a person a couple of fouls in the first, so they'll sit majority of the third. And it seems like he knows what he's talking about. Like, this is true.
And if you remember
from his book, has to crack down on this.
Yes.
Remember from his book, who did he call before and after games? Scott Foster.
Yeah. Yeah. We need to look.
Coincidence? I don't think so.
I think not. And that brings a lot into question, because we were joking about this off air. I was like, look, if Scott Foster is going to ref Game 5 of the Suns Mavs, we might as well pull our money together and bet on the Mavs to win, because Foster has his refereeing record in games involving Chris Paul just in the playoffs. Gonzo said it right. He was against the Houston Rockets. He was against Chris Paul. You're playing against the other team and the refs. You can't win, but if we know this is going to happen, we might as well put some money in it and see if Vegas can win. And I think Vegas is ultimately going to be the one to put the pressure on it. And this isn't my take. This is something that I've heard thrown around on Bill Simmons, Bomani Jones, Ryan Russillo. They've all said, like, when you bring in gambling the way it is now, like, I opened up the NBA app the other day and it said presented by, I think it was like Caesar's Sportsbook. Like, we're of an age where we remember gambling being super taboo with sports. And now there's FanDuel, there's all these, DraftKings, all these commercials and ads and partnerships that it's like, how can I feel comfortable placing money on a team in a game when I know there's coincidences going on with particular referees and particular players and particular teams? Coach Miller, I want to ask you.
Okay.
How do you feel? Would you feel comfortable betting on the Phoenix Suns in Game 5 if Scott Foster is refereeing versus Chris Paul?
It's ironic that you ask me, of all people, this question, knowing that I am one who plays the slots.
Yes.
I do gamble from time to time.
There's nothing wrong. I'm not gambling shaming.
No.
Get your money.
That's not what I'm saying. No, absolutely, man. I'm 6 for 6 my last 6 times going, so we're good there, right?
Hey.
Would I feel uncomfortable if I'm betting? So if I know, what is it? The last 8 or 9 games, I think it's something like that Scott Foster has ref to Chris Paul. He's lost all of them. It's somewhere 7-9, 7-10 games. If I am the gambling man that sometimes I can be, no, I'm not betting. I am not betting on the Phoenix Suns. Although we have to distinguish this though.
Yeah,
it's about the line. Right?
The line.
We got to remember, it's not about who wins or loses. We got to distinguish that for context. So let's say the Suns. Let's say the line is like 3.5, right? Suns by 3.5, right? And I hate that they do that 0.5, but that's a gambling thing. I'm not the big time gambler. I play the slots, but my grandpa used to do his picks in football, and he would do it based on the line, and that's where I learned all this stuff. If it's 3.5, I'm probably putting my money on Dallas.
Yeah.
Right. I probably would, knowing the history, because more than likely Dallas is probably going to win the game based on history of Scott Foster reffing Chris Paul. I automatically win. But if Phoenix wins by 2 points, guess what? I win
too. Yeah.
I win. Yeah. And that's
So
what we have to remember.
Don't bet the team, bet the line.
You got to bet the spread. Yes, you have to bet you have to look at the line. That's the important thing when you're gambling, and that's all. And Vegas is hardly if you were to go look at all the scores in the playoffs and you look at the line, I guarantee you the bookies don't lose very much.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you came to me for this. That's my take. That's my gambling take for this evening.
I appreciate that, Matt.
Yes, sir.
Because I noticed sports, and you guys have probably noticed this. Sports Center added a segment called Bad Beats or Bad Bets, where it's like the game is in the last few minutes of the game, the line is like 4.5, and Danny Green's at the free throw line shooting 2 free throws that could put the Sixers up 5, or it's like it's garbage time and the line is 8 points, and one team is down 6 with 3 seconds to go, and it's like if he puts this shot up, it messes with the line. So gambling is taking over,
and that's the thing. That's why now the one thing I do want to say, speaking of the gambling, and I'll say it to your regular high school basketball game. A lot of fans think that these refs are cheating their team with the amount of pay that they're getting, which sucks, obviously, at the high school level. That those 2 referees, or if it's a varsity game, here in Illinois, in Texas, it's 3 refs, right? How is it in Georgia, Pete? Is it 3 refs for a varsity game? Okay,
yes.
So 3 refs. This idea that these 3 refs are walking into that game with minimal pay and automatic, like, you know what? I'm gonna make all the calls against this team because I want them to lose. That's BS. It doesn't happen. And that's, I think, what people have to understand. These refs aren't necessarily making calls because they want the Warriors to win, or because they want the Mavericks to win, or the Sixers, or the Heat, or whoever it may be, the Sacramento Kings in a regular season game. It's about the spread. It's about the line. It's not about who wins and loses.
Yeah, okay.
That's where the money is made.
Okay, so that's what we need to look at. We need to look at the line versus the actual winner and the actual outcome of the game. Okay,
Yes.
because that points to it, and actually, that might change my view on referees going against players. And we have so many stars out here that it's a shame that any one player feels a certain way about a ref. But this is actually going to lead me to my next question. I'm gonna go to Gonzo Star and start with this. I'm gonna ask you guys. This is to everyone, but I'm gonna start with Gonzo. Who is the best player in the playoffs right now, and why? Who you got, Gonzo? Who is the best player in the playoffs right now who you think?
Is one person I'm going to say in particular who I think is the best player in the playoffs, but it's kind of somebody else who I had as kind of a number 2. But number 1 is Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yes.
Hands down. Even in his bad games, he still plays good. So, you know, and he plays defense. He plays hard. He's hitting. You can expect him to hit his free throws now. He'll knock down a mid-range jumper, maybe 1 or 2 threes here and there. Like, and he just gets his team. I mean, you can just tell, like, his team. If you even look at the games that they have lost, his teammates do try to play hard for him. When he turns it up, they turn it up. Yeah, like they seem like it's like a switch. He can flip a switch on, and he can hype his guys up. Like even in the playoffs last year, you looked in the round against the Nets, and look at when he played against Phoenix and against Atlanta. Look how he was talking to his team in the huddle, and they come out and they play a totally different game. Like it's like they tried harder to win just because he gave him that speech. Like he's a true leader, and he's not like yelling at him. He's just telling them, "Look, man, get your head in the game, play harder, play faster, be stronger than them, fight through it." Like I like the guy. He's funny. He has a dry sense of humor, but he's funny. But man, he's the best player in the NBA, hands down. Hands
Okay,
down.
all right.
And
Hands down.
I want to tell you my number 2 though.
Okay, who's your number 2?
I just want to give a number 2. It's Luka Doncic.
Yes.
Easily. It's Luka.
Luka the Don. I love it. I love it. Pistol Pete. Who you got?
I know you ain't gonna leave out Joel Embiid. You can't leave out MVP Joel Embiid.
We can't
After what we saw in game in the first 2 games
of
with Miami smacking Philly, he comes back and then changes the entire series.
Yes.
Yes, he did.
I mean, just his dominance. 18-11 in game 3. Right now, he's got 22-7 so far for Philly.
Through 3 quarters, right?
Through 3 quarters, yep. And I mean, come on, just his dominance and his ability to change the game on both ends. Now we can't help that his superstar so-called teammate just doesn't show up. Yeah. But you know, Embiid shows up when it counts.
Life might have got him in between games 1 and 2. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like, although I agree with Gonzo that Giannis is the best player hands down, I can't leave out Embiid into the discussion. Luka's a good choice as well, because without Luka, there'd be no Dallas even in the playoffs.
Yes.
So all good choices.
Coach Matt, who you got?
Okay. I'm going to say this now real quick to put it out there. I going into this, and after we talked on the phone earlier, Mike, and I told you who I was going with, and I said if Greg doesn't go Luka, I'm going to go Luka. I'm not going Luka. I'm going with the guy I thought I was going to go with. Now, Mike, did you think I was going to go Embiid?
Not really. I didn't.
I
haven't seen him that much of him.
I am going Jimmy Butler. Jimmy G Buckets.
Okay.
The G stands for gets. Hear me out. Miami is 6-2 in the playoffs. We know what he does defensively. We know what he does and all that. But let me give you this: 27.4 points, 5 assists, 8 rebounds. He's 36 from three, 80 from the line, 52 from the field.
Wow.
Miami 6-2. My pick is Jimmy Butler, best player in the playoffs. And I wouldn't have thought this until last week when I listened to I was listening to JJ, and he brought it up, and that's what made me think about it. He said, and this was a week ago, Jimmy Butler's been the best player in the playoffs. And I had to go look. I think I agree. I'm with JJ Redick. Jimmy Butler has been the best player in the playoffs. I agree with Greg.
On in the background, and it just flashed. Jimmy hits a bucket, and he's got, I think, a game high 29 right now. So,
okay,
or a Miami high 29.
I'm just saying. But I'm with Greg. Giannis Antetokounmpo, hands down, best player in the league. Embiid is right there. We got Jokic and all those guys. Obviously, Luka Doncic. That's my guy. But I'm going Jimmy Butler. I want to know, Mike, is that who you thought I was going to go with?
No, hell no.
I didn't think so. Yeah,
I did not think Jimmy Butler. I had honestly, when I thought of this question, because we talked about this earlier in the week, we have group chat, and our group chat is lit. And Gonzo and Rad brought up some ideas about about debate, and I was like, you know what? Who is the best player? I did not think anybody from the Miami Heat would be brought up in this. I had Giannis, I had Luka, I even had Embiid down on the list.
I want to know, Mike, when you said, because you guessed it right, you asked, is it a player from the, it's not from the Western Conference, and I told you yes. I thought you knew who I was going to pick at that point.
Honestly, I thought you were going to say Giannis. I thought you were going to say Giannis.
Nope.
Because Giannis is my top guy in the league right now, and Luka.
Yeah, but that's not the question, though. That's not the question, though.
Yeah, but
that's why.
Yeah.
I'm going like, and I know all 3 of you can probably push back on.
I didn't have
all 3 of you I know can give me some pushback on that.
No,
but also I think all 3 of you would be like, you know what, Matt? I see why you would say that.
I honestly, go ahead, Pete.
I was going to say, I'm going to throw a little small curveball out. If you had to pick out of the remaining teams and their young budding stars between like Tatum, you could put obviously Giannis, because I feel like 27 is young enough maybe.
Yeah.
Morant, like guys like that, like who would you want out of those guys to start your franchise with if
I'm
you
going
had
to
to
say
pick
this,
one of them?
Pete. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to say why that's a bad question because it's obviously Giannis.
You think even at 27
Oh, because you're
to
saying
start,
young,
like
to
saying
start a
start
franchise?
now,
Absolutely.
and
I
then
Absolutely,
say,
Giannis.
I say take
Yeah.
Giannis off that because he's got a chip and
okay,
he's got two
If you take
MVPs.
Giannis out, then it's
Yeah.
Luka. Then it's Luka.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then it's
Okay.
Luka. I think we
That's
all
fine.
agree on that. Take
Yeah.
Giannis out, it's Luka.
yeah,
That's
I
not. I don't
definitely
think
say
that's an
that.
argument.
Yeah. And the thing is, I knew Embiid was going to come up because I was actually trying to save the Heat Sixers series because obviously the game is on right now. Like right now, it's 6:55 Pacific
well,
time,
somebody
and
better save Doc Rivers' coaching career because he's out of there if they don't win the series. Because
oh, absolutely, absolutely, he very well. And then y'all might get Mike D'Antoni reunited with Harden and
oh my God,
what's the
the
guy in
Daryl
the front?
Morey
Yeah,
experiment,
Daryl
Daryl
Morey.
Morey,
Yeah, the
Daryl
three-headed
Morey experiment.
monster. Yeah. Well, while you brought up Embiid, I'm gonna ask you: is this a brand new series that Embiid is here? Because it seems like night and day from the first two games.
Absolutely, because both sides of the ball, he's going to demand that his teammates play with intensity. It also opens up pass for Maxey to get more open looks
Mm-hmm.
because defenses are tied down on Embiid. You've got guys like Georges Niang being able to get wide open shots from the top of the key. Just you're not having to rely on Danny Green for so many looks now.
Yeah.
You could give him those looks if you wanted to. Tobias Harris gets pressure taken off of him because now he goes down a peg in the pecking order. It just all around, it just makes that big of a difference. The thing I think what's hurting Miami is what helped them all season, which was the spark of Tyler Hero. And I
Yeah.
think Tyler Hero is hurting them right now because he's trying to force it so much. And he gets a lot of the same looks he was getting, but he's almost like a little hesitant, like a half step hesitant of like, should I shoot that in this moment? Or he comes out and he's ultra aggressive, like a heat check when he doesn't have to be. It's like back it off, play a little bit of a ball handler role and get other guys involved. So now Jimmy's having to step up even more. And that's where JJ's take comes in of him being so dominant on both ends of the ball because he has to be.
Yeah. I mean, Gonzo Star, like, how does Embiid possibly shift this entire series to the point where if they win this game, it's the best 2 out of 3 series, just like Mavs Suns.
Absolutely. This just goes to show you that Jimmy Butler's good, but he ain't no superstar.
Yeah.
Joel Embiid is a bona fide superstar.
Yeah.
I can take him out of the lineup, and the team looks like everything falls apart, and I can throw him right back in there, and all of a sudden now we're looking like the juggernauts. That is a bona fide superstar. And let me tell you something. And the whole Eastern Conference really needs to worry about that because if he's able to play through his injuries, and if any of us start to feel any better and to the point where, he can kind of work through the pain, I feel sorry for, especially if they play against Boston in the next round. If they can get past Miami and they can beat Boston, which I think if they win today, they get past Miami because he's a problem. And I'm going to tell you why he's a problem. I want to add to this thing. Not only can he post up and they have no answer for him posting up, but if I bring him out of the hole, because now you have to count for him because he can shoot. So I can send guys cutting, running to the corners, coming off screens. Somebody's always going to be open now because he does something to the middle of your defense. He can collapse it and break it down and pull it apart. That's what makes him so dominant. I love Joel Embiid's game. But if they get past Miami, and if they play a team like Boston, they can beat Boston and they'll make it to the finals. And people, don't forget this, people. Milwaukee has very, very, very tough games against the Sixers. It's not no cakewalk.
Yeah.
So he's going to be a problem for them as well. I'm sorry, man.
He's running.
I'm an Embiid fan.
Yeah, I love Embiid too. I'm looking at it in the background, and he's just one man, just clogging the hole, blocking shots and doing things right now. And it's like, you're absolutely right. Him being in there is night and day. It might as well be the Philadelphia Sixers without him, and he is the ERS, because they are a completely different team without him. It doesn't make any sense. And
it does. Doc Rivers coaching. It does. Doc Rivers' coaching is terrible. Those rotations. How are you going to play an all bench lineup? Yeah. And you know you don't have Embiid on the floor. And then you want to start DeAndre Jordan in his absence. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Come on.
And you see his impact being back on the shooters. Like, Coach Miller, I know you know as a shooter, like, you got a big in there, you get some shots. Hell, Danny Green is looking like Danny Green of old.
Hey, I haven't seen much of this game because we're recording this, and I'm kind of. But the last game, he was lights out. But I want to say this. I want to say this. I have to go back to the Bucks series with the Celtics, because I am the guy who's been the Grayson Allen juggernaut type guy, right? I've mentioned it.
This guy.
It has come to an end.
Yes.
Come to an end. He was 0 for 3 yesterday. Grayson Allen is not the offensive juggernaut any of us thought he was.
No, I told you that last time you had asked me, remember Grayson Allen? And I said, that ain't going to happen.
Yeah, that's why I said that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He was pretty good the game before. He had when we recorded last week, he had 11 points and all that. But yes, 0 points, and he started.
Yes.
I'm doing this. Yeah, you see where I'm going with. Yeah, I have to be the guy. I have to be the Grayson Allen guy, because
you can't foul everybody to make an impact.
Yeah, Grayson Allen apologist, man.
No, I'm not the apologist. I'm not the Grayson Allen fan. I just thought it was funny when he was the offensive juggernaut against the Bulls. Grayson Allen, it goes into the United Center where they hate him because of what he did to Caruso, and he's lighting their asses up.
Yeah, it's all fun and games till the game plan for you.
Exactly.
Hey, you know what, Pete? What are you going to do? The game plan is all fine and dandy until they punch you in the mouth, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. And so I think we're in agreement that we would like to see Embiid and Giannis in the conference finals. I think
I'd actually like to see Boston so we can steamroll through them, and but that's just me, because I feel like Milwaukee probably take Philly, and I'm obviously a diehard Sixers fan. I think they have a little bit too much.
Yeah, I didn't know you were a Philly fan until I looked.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Look in the background, you see the Phillies, the Cunningham, the cut. You see the Eric Lindros, the AI. Yeah, I just want to know. Hey, Pete. I just want to know, where's the Danny Green jersey?
No, Somebody asked me if I was ever getting a Harden jersey. Man, they got close to.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? If he would have been there the rest of the fall, you would have had the JJ jersey up there.
I wanted the JJ jersey, but I can't get it. So I've been trying.
Yeah. I hope you can find it, man. Because, for any of y'all who don't know who listen, hey, Pete and I, JJ's our guy.
I've been a JJ fan since he was in high school.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, same here.
JJ is the dude, man. The one thing I'm going to say, because we're almost finishing up here, and right now, as we're wrapping, it's going into the fourth quarter of the Sixers Heat game. I just want to touch on some NBA news. We already talked about earlier about Ja Morant more than likely being ruled out of Game 4. It's looking very unlikely that he will play. And after the smackdown the Warriors put on the Grizzlies yesterday, that's going to be hard to come back on anyway. But also, we got the coaches hiring. I want to ask you guys real quick what your thoughts are on Mike Brown being hired in Sacramento. Since you're up here, go ahead, Gonzo Star. You look like you shaking your head. I'm just like, nah, go ahead. Talk that talk.
My question is what difference is what coach you get in Sacramento? It's Sacramento. You just sign a guy up for grid-in. Like, none of that even matters. Like, you can put Phil Jackson on Sacramento, and guess what? You might never hear from him again after coaching Sacramento. Sacramento sucks. It's not even improvement for him. Like everything is messed up from the top all the way down.
Yes.
What's going to happen?
They remind me of Phoenix like 6 years ago. Like, the owner is terrible. The concessions are terrible. The team is terrible. The GM is terrible. The cheerleaders are all right. The dudes selling tickets.
It does nothing.
I don't get it because he doesn't play a fast-paced style. I guess because they got Sabonis in the trade.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he can't run up and down fast-paced. But you have De'Aaron Fox, who's one of the fastest guards in the league.
Yeah.
You should be playing in a high-speed offense. It's not Mike Brown. Obviously, Mike Brown's known for the LeBron James early era, but he got to the Lakers, and we see the disaster that was as a coach.
Yeah.
And
He's
he gets a pass.
In offense again.
Well, he gets the Luke Walton effect of being an assistant coach for the Warriors of like, oh, man, this looks all great. And then when he gets in the lead chair, everything falls apart. And I just feel like it's switching deck chairs on the Titanic as far as the Sacramento Kings coaching hires, because ever since Mike Malone was there, they can't keep anybody consistently. And it all comes down to Vivek Ranadive having his hand in everything. Then you get Monty McNair, who's coming in as a disciple of Daryl Morey and the Houston Rockets front office. That's not any better with the whole analytics, let's play the numbers game and all that stuff. That doesn't work consistently to be a winner. Like, you need to look at pedigree and players. And at the end of the day, you traded your best guard on the team in Halliburton for Sabonis, who doesn't fit a style with De'Aaron Fox. It doesn't make any sense. But Sacramento's going to Sacramento. But at least it was not Mark Jackson being the head coach. Let's save that for the Lakers, because that's probably where Mark Jackson's going to go, because LeBron's going to get his way.
Coach Matt, you look like you have something loaded up in the clip ready to fire.
I don't have much. I was going to bring up the owner, Mr. Ranadive, and I was going to take it. I mean, I was going to go with the route like, look, there were many ways they could have went in the 2014 draft. And now Pete and I, this is a guy we both like.
Oh, Stauskas?
However, he went Stauskas. And now I'm bringing this up for this. Look, Pete and I were both on Stauskas, right? We thought he was going to be a good player. We were wrong. It happens.
No, you bring him in and they don't run him at all like he played in college.
Well,
Like, what are you doing?
But also, all the basketball people, when you look at who they wanted, they didn't want Stauskas, and he overruled all of them. And that's where I'm taking it. So he goes Mike Brown. I don't think Mike Brown is a bad NBA.
No, he didn't go Mike Brown. Monty McNair went Mike Brown. He wanted Mark Jackson.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh,
he got over. He gave, because such the public perception has been bad on him. He backed off and let Monty McNair pick Mike Brown. That's why he was scouting him in the last game.
I mean, I get it. If you're going to let De'Aaron Fox just give him the ball and let him run the show, I guess I get it to a degree. But you're not going to do that because you also have Davion Mitchell, who we have to admit the last 6 weeks of the season, he was pretty good. When Fox was out, Davion Mitchell did his thing, and he's really good defensively. But yeah, Mike. I mean, I'm like Mike Brown. Fine, I guess. It's the Sacramento Kings, though. It's what I say. If you are drafted by the Sacramento Kings, and thank God, our guy, why am I forgetting his name off the top? I'll go to it later. But if you get drafted, Tyrese Halliburton. Thank goodness he got traded. You get drafted by Sacramento, you go to die.
Yeah.
It's a bad thing when you go there, because I truly believe, I think Jimmer Fredette could have been, at worst, a role player in the NBA.
Not defensively.
No, not defensively. That's why I say role player. He could have had an NBA career.
Now you are
a nice
apologist.
He's a little bit too. In my opinion, he was a little bit too small, and that shot got a little bit too far out for the NBA.
I think the problem with him was he was really a 6'1", 6'2" shooting guard.
You're correct.
Yes,
and that's I think where the issue was with Jimmer. If he would have accepted his role as a 2 guard, okay, cool. But I mean, it sucks. It just sucks when we all have to. It sucks when we all have to agree. But man, Pete's right. Sacramento's they're going to sack. It's the worst franchise. It is. I think Pete and Greg know this. When we used to do the Sim Hangout with Czar, and he would I would always say Sacramento is the worst run franchise in professional sports, not just basketball.
They haven't made the playoffs
sports.
since 2006 for a reason.
In professional, they are the worst run franchise in professional sports. There's a reason that stat that Pete just gave us is they're horrible. And it doesn't matter who the owner is, honestly.
But they had a chance with Mike Malone, and then they fired him.
And they got the one guy that got along with your franchise player. And what do? You get rid of him.
You trade the player and you fire the coach.
Yep.
Bingo.
Yeah. And I just want to point out to all of my friends and family members that know my last name is McNair. There's no relation to Monte McNair. So don't be trying to ask me for Sacramento Kings tickets, because no one's going to ask me for Sacramento Kings tickets.
Nobody's going to want to go to that dumpster fire.
No one's going to go to that. With that said, we're going to wrap up today's episode. But first, Gonzo Star, you got a little rant to close us out. So go ahead. The floor is yours. We'll mute the mics and you do what you do.
Welcome to Gonzo's Red Light Rant. Today, my problem I'm going to talk about the most is James Harden. I'm going to call you the free throw and step back three MVP, because you do nothing at any other time. This year has showed me who you really are. You're lazy. You like to hang out at the club. You like going to fashion shows in Paris, hanging out with rappers. You like doing everything but your job, and that's to show up in the playoffs. You have a real superstar on your team in Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey is already passing you by. You have done absolutely nothing for this team in the playoffs, as you should. If you would just show up and be at least 70% of what you used to be, the 76ers will probably run the table and make it to the finals. Stop being a bum. Stop going to the clubs. Stop eating up everything. Practice hard. Show up. Help your MVP. Help your young guy play better. This is your job, man. We root for you. I've been rooting for you since you were at OKC. When they traded you, I thought that was OKC's worst. They should have traded Westbrook, not you. And you have an opportunity now to play with a real superstar, and you're messing up his chances. And you're making Doc Rivers look worse than what he already was, too. I'm disappointed in you, James Harden. Get it together, man. Show up for your team. And Jason Tatum, people have been comparing you to Kobe. I wish they stop. Please. You're not Kobe Bryant, because Kobe Bryant wouldn't be shooting this bad against this team who has Chris Middleton, who's out. And trust me, Giannis ain't sticking you all the time. And you got a height advantage over Drew Holiday. I know Drew Holiday is a great defender. There's no excuse for you to be shooting this bad. Jaylen Brown's looking like the better player than you this series. Get it together. Make it a series. I want to see competition. I'm tired of the stupid shots. I just want to see good basketball. Get it together. And Ja Morant, be quiet. You and your whole Memphis team. You can't shoot threes with three-point kings. It just ain't possible. They do this for a living. You don't. Be quiet, because now that you've talked so much, you've unleashed the Kraken upon yourselves. You guys you won't win another game. They'll continue to bust your heads to the white meat. That is all for my rant today.
Oh my God. I'm glad we had our microphones on mute, because there would have been a lot of laughter going on through this. The red light was definitely a great effect. We're going to have to use that going forward. I did not see that coming. I thought Kylo Ren had showed up and was about to behead a couple people. But thank you for that rant, Gonzo Star. Definitely shout out to Rad Ren. We'll see you back. I want to thank Gonzo Star. I want to thank Coach Matt Miller, Pistol Pete, Toll, and myself, Mike Skills. This has been another episode of the Loop City podcast. We'll be sure to like and subscribe us on YouTube, on Twitter, and listen to us on all podcast networks. And be sure to like and subscribe, share with your friends, write us a review, give us a 5-star. Don't give us a 4, don't give us a 3, don't give us a 2, don't give us a 1, give us a 5, and show that we have won. And with that said, we are done. Peace, blessings, holla.